why we can say no justice, no peace. A genocidal image, just like during the Nazi era, they made all these caricatures of the European Jews.
Proud racist.
Burn, wahoo, burn! Burn, wahoo, burn! As a person of African descent, I know about racist logos. As a person of African descent, I know the indigenous people helped us when we walked off and ran off and off the plantation. The indigenous people welcomed us with open arms. Our blood is in their blood. Their blood is in our blood. And all the people who were poor and oppressed in this country, who fought against the injustice that was perpetrated against the indigenous people, we want to salute them. We want to get really strong.
You have 5 reasons to retire the team name and mascots. Obviously, why these 5 reasons?
These are actually the reasons given by the American Psychological Association, their council representatives in September of 2005, and they overwhelmingly supported the abolishment of Native American team names and mascots. The culture that it creates in the academic environment for children, it talks about how it undermines sovereignty for Native American people. Talks about how it promotes stereotypes. It situates actual Native living modern people in a historical past. We are no longer your doctors or your teachers or your coworkers, your neighbors. We become this buckskin-clad 1880s warrior, and sticking us in the historical past like that creates a lot of systemic issues that leads to today. Creates a lot of apathy towards a real socioeconomic issues that we're fighting for today. I think the argument that Chief Wahoo and this team name is rooted in tradition, false ground to stand on. If you look at the origin of mascots and team names, they have actually come from this feeling of nostalgia that happened almost at the turn of the century, going into the 1900s, where people suddenly, the West was one, right, proverbially. And then they almost immediately were like, man, those good old days of the Wild West. And we see that, nostalgia sells. Like, we see that, I mean, there's a reboot of Roseanne. We just saw Jurassic Park, Independence Day reboots. Nostalgia sells. And so businesses and sports teams cashed in on that nostalgia and started rebranding into Native American team names and logos to sell tickets. And when we talk about tradition and nostalgia, they are not being nostalgic over actual Native American people. They're not being honoring the tradition of actual Native American people, because this is not our tradition. They're honoring the tradition and nostalgia of an era of American history, which was a source of pride and growth for the greater American people. But that same era was easily the worst in Native American history, the turn of the 20th century. So I think we need to stop and take a deep look at where this mascot actually comes from, and just come to realization there really is no tradition or anything rooted in it. There's no honor rooted in it. There's no invoking of the strength of the warrior. That's just all kind of a myth. And I think we're ready for change, and I would love to see a team name like the Cleveland Guardians, like modeled after the Guardians of Transportation just across the street over on Lorraine Carnegie Bridge. I think that speaks more to Cleveland's spirit and honor than a fake myth about Native people.
No. Why is it taking so long?
Why is it taking so long?
Yeah.
Well, Native American people are 1.5% of the national population, about 0.4% here in Cleveland. When we talk about having the advocacy and the capacity to have our voices heard, it's tough. I think when the majority of people who are in power are not people of color and are not Native American people, it's hard to use that power of the pen to get the name changed. A lot of people say, well, what about Notre Dame, and what about all these teams that are on reservations that have Native team names and mascots? Well, at any point, those people are in positions of power to, Irish Americans or Native Americans on the reservation, they have control over that name. They have power over that name. They have the ability at any point to control how it's branded, how it's messaged. That's a private story. Yeah, they have that power in their hands. We do not, and we never have. Nobody asked the Native people 25 years after the Wounded Knee Massacre if it was okay to name the team the Cleveland Indians. Not one person asked it, because we had zero